So we're cutting it off like that. You notice that on this side, 2 of my fingers are off the ruler, which gives you stability. If your whole hand is on the ruler and you press down, there's a danger that you're going to move it around, which you don't want. Now, because I'm right-handed, I'm now moving that around. Now, you can use these markings on the cutting mat, but where possible, it's probably best to use the markings that are on your ruler. And I'm going to cut this 3.5 inches across. So we're going to end up with a long strip, 3.5 inches. I'll just repeat that. So if you want more than one, you just keep going across your fabric. This fabric was folded, so it's given us a very long piece right across the width of the fabric. When you get experienced, you won't necessarily need to pin your pieces together, but when you're just starting out, it is easier to put a pin in. You don't have to have hundreds of pins, but you just need so that the one underneath, the fabric might move. If they're not pinned, you might not be able to see that they're lined up exactly together. So we'll just put a couple more pins in there. And obviously, if you've got a lot of pieces to do, you can do this pinning stage and get them all prepared ready. Now what I've done here is I've popped in 2 little tiny sample squares. Now you see these little teeth underneath here, they're called the feed dogs, and there's a danger that sometimes they chew up at the start of a seam. Now you don't want that to happen on your lovely seam that you've just carefully pinned. So by putting those little squares in first, it stops any danger of that. And we don't have to pick the needle up or cut or anything. We can just sew straight over that gap. And then we keep sewing all the way along. As we get towards the pin, we can pull it out. And obviously, as you get more confident in what you're doing, you can pull the pins out as you're going along. You don't have to keep starting and stopping. And this machine does actually go faster than this, but that makes it a bit noisy, so I won't do that. So then I'll speed up a little bit. And we'll put that in there. Just and when we get to the end of the strip, we can just stop. I haven't used the needle down function because not every machine has it, and it's not really necessary. Then you just feed the next strip in and go over that gap and continue sewing. That's called chain piecing. You might hear it referred to. It's a very useful technique because it stops the start of your seam going down into the feed dogs. You keep going right the way along to the end. Although my hand is moving here, it's not actually pushing the fabric around a lot, it's just letting it, those little feed dogs are just taking it through. Now, as this is my last strip, we're going to finish off by sewing one of these little start and stop pieces on. My little snippers, I can just snip that off, and then that little piece is ready to start the next seam when I next want to do some sewing. So I've set the iron to cotton because I'm sewing with cotton, and I've turned the steam off because at this point we don't want any steam distorting our seams. And we're just doing an up and down motion. If you're used to sort of sweeping along with your iron, it's different when you're pressing patchwork. So first of all we've set that in there, and the next stage is to open it out. So, working with a darker fabric on the top, we're going to move the iron over so it takes the seam allowance towards the darkest fabric. And that's going to be useful when we're pinning our blocks because it means the seams nestle together. We go all the way along the strip like that. Then looking at the back, the cream seam allowance is lying over that green fabric. And I'm going to do that with all these fabrics that I've sewn. So here's a red one. Okay, darker fabric on the top and then pressing down so we've got the seam. If the seam gets caught like it has here, you can just give it another little press and you check the seam when you turn it over.